warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Irfan Nazmi bin Abdul Rahman. I am a student from University Malaysia Perlis. Today, I will be presenting on what I have learned from my subject System Programming Technology 1 under the course of Bachelor of Industrial Electronic Automation Technology. Firstly, what I have studied is about flowchart. Flowchart represents the sequence of process for carrying out operations. It makes it easier for users to understand the process of a program. So the process sequence are represented with certain shapes or symbols to facilitate users' understanding. For example, these are the symbols commonly used in a flowchart. Circles are for start and end. Arrows are used to indicate the process, the relationship between the process. Rectangles are normally used for input, outputs, or process. And finally, diamond shapes are used for decision making. This is an example of a question used for a flowchart. For example, get the number from the users, then distinguish if the number is odd or even. So we start with a circle, then we use a rectangle, which is an input, read number, and we use a decision making a diamond shape, whether it's positive is an odd number or an even number. If it's in an even or even an odd, they will print the output, and finally it will end. Disadvantage of flowcharts are it is not recommended if the process we are you gonna be using or gonna be drawing out is complex or even long because we tend to make mistakes and this will complicate the matter more. Okay, the next thing I learned is pseudocode. Pseudocode is used to describe the flow of operation in English. Instead of using a C language or any other language, we can use common English in a structured language. This can make people better understand the program better. This is an example of pseudocode language. For example, this program is used to check whether the input from the user is a vowel or a consonant. So we will start by typing start. The next line, we will ask the user to give us a vowel or a consonant, or moreover a letter. If it's a vowel, then the program will write out vowel. If it's a consonant, the program will write out consonant. And the program will end after it writes out the output. The next thing I learned is variable declaration. So in programming, when we are typing a C program, we can we can place variables in two places, whether it's outside the function or inside the function. If it's outside the function, it is called global variable declaration. If it's inside a function, it is local variable declaration. Sorry. So global can be shared throughout the program in any function. Meanwhile, local variables are only used inside a certain function. For example, for global declaration, you can see here, I highlight it here, it is outside a function or more the main function. So this is the variable h small, h big, r big. Meanwhile, for local declaration, it will be inside functions. As we can see, v small, v big, and v excess here. Next, this is an example of coding or C programming. Next is application software. So application software is designed to perform specific tasks to simplify workflow and improve team communication. For example, in our daily use, we normally use multimedia software, whether it's JPEG, MP4, MP3, and more commonly used is our communication software. We use Skype, WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, Facebooks. All of these are all examples of application software we use in our daily lives. Next, I learned about unary operators. but I will only highlight unary increment in this slide, in which I am tasked to explain the difference between D++ and D and plus plus D. I'm sorry. So given a question where D++ is times by 6 and plus plus D is times by 6, in which where D is 10, we will calculate A and D by using this method. In the process of D++ times 6, we will first prioritize the unary increment first, then we times the 6. Meanwhile, in plus plus D, we will prioritize the multiplication, then then we will use uh, unary increment. So, be wary of the questions. I am also tasked to write a program in which a customer or user will input 1 or 2 as its input. If it's 1, a robot will move forwards. Meanwhile, if it's 2, it will move backwards. So the program that I made declares, sorry, declares the variable as a global variable in which I will print first. Please enter an instruction in which 1 is forward and 2 is reverse. And once the user already input 1 or 2, if it's 1, the robot will move forward. If it's 2, it will move backwards. Meanwhile, if it's else between 1 or 2, the instruction is invalid and it will return to 0. This is the flowchart. It will start. It will read the instruction from the user. If it's 1, it will move forward. If it's 2, it will move backwards. If it's neither of them, the move will be invalid and it will end. And the other task that I was given is to write a program about bill calculation. So the pseudocode is, we will start first and we will read the electrical bill of 3 months, calculate the average. If it's lower than 40, it will consider it as low. If it's between 40 and 110, it will consider it as medium. If it's higher than 110, it will consider it as high. This is the chart. As I explained before, it will start, read the values of 3 months bill, calculate the average. If it's a bit under 400, it's under 40, you will consider it as low. Between 40 and 110, you will consider it as medium. And if it's high, although higher than 110, you will consider as high. It will print the usage construction and it will end. This is the input and output and the process of calculation. See, input is the 3 months of bill. Output is whether the electrical power that they use, consumption, is low, moderate, or high. And finally, the calculation is average consumption of electricity in 3 months. So that's all for my presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.